Hello, welcome to the Data channel, and you're watching Data Modeling Masterclass series. And as part of this introductory video, we will just understand what you can expect from this series, or we will have the series of videos coming in this playlist. And so, in this part of introductory video, we will understand what is the things that you can expect out of this course. And by end of the course, what you will be able to understand, right? And please note that this particular course will be more of a theoretical and with some practical examples definitely, but the concept of data modeling is more of a combination of understanding theoretically and with some practical examples. So you can expect more of theoretical with some practical examples in this course. So before proceeding, if you are new to this channel, we would recommend you to please subscribe and also press bell button for instant notifications. So let's get started. Right. So in this slide, we will see what exactly you can expect out of this course, right? So definitely, like you need to understand before, right? So we don't want to set a wrong expectation, or so when you are starting any kind of understanding any topic, right? So definitely, you should know what exactly is coming out of this course, so that it will help. Suppose you want to learn these topics or not, so you have your own priorities. So if of the learning, right? So if your expectation is to learn or any of these things, so definitely I would recommend you to continue this course, right? And by end of this course, you would have definitely some understanding about of all of these topics. Okay. So to start with, so definitely we will have some videos to show what exactly the data model is. So you might have, if you're working in a like data projects, so definitely you might have heard about data modeling here and there, but we will exactly understand theoretically what exactly data model is, and also what is the importance of data model. So what are the advantages, what are the benefits, why exactly data model is taken so seriously in enterprise projects, right? And what exactly makes good or great data model. So what is the difference between good and great data models, right? So because everyone can create a data model, so there is a combination of data modeling is a combination of both art and science, right? So if you want to build a great data models, it comes by experience, and also it comes by some kind of a skill, creativity, and all those aspects, right? So it is just not about the understanding theoretically and some knowledge, and you can start creating data models. Many of the things is a combination of theoretical knowledge, practical knowledge, having some creative understanding, or making the model decisions based on some creativity and experience as well. So that the blend of all those skills make the great data model. So that we will also see. And where does data model fit in the system development cycle? Because so you start a project, right? And is it when the requirements are being collected, is it when the data modeling comes into picture, or during the entire life cycle the data modeling is important? And you're talking about agile, or you're talking about waterfall model, so where exactly the modeling fit into the system development life cycle? So that's also very important to understand, because most often people think, okay, like once you create a data model for a project, and so that's it, right? So it is not, because we are working in agile kind of a like a project, so where it is not true. And also you need to consider key design stages and deliverables, right? So what according to your projects, and how exactly the impact of data model on the performance, right? And you need to know who are the key stakeholders, you need to involve when you're working as a data modeler, right? Because you need to understand the entire project landscape, and you need to involve the right people, so that you will get maximum out of the data modeling that you are working on. And also you need to understand the impact of new tech and modern data modeling, because see, the data modeling theoretically, whatever the fundamentals will never change, but still there are aspects where it can impact the traditional way of data modeling, right? Because there is a new technologies like data warehouse, delta lake, right? Like data lake, delta lake, all this concept has come, and with that like NoSQL databases. So with that, so there is a fundamentals will not change, but there are some aspects of data modeling will get impacted or will get affected. So you need to be aware of all those technologies and also know what is the modern data modeling, right? So all these um, aspects will be like you can expect to be explained in detail in the upcoming videos. So you can expect all these topics. Okay. And as a software design for a programs, so if you are working as a software engineer, right? So there will be software design for a programs, right? Similarly, so the data model is for the data, right? Suppose you want to build any software application, so you will have the software architecture, right? Enterprise architecture where so you will have a Java application or .NET application, and where it has to connect, what data it has to get, so and where it has to run the uh, like processing of the data, and where exactly where which which different modules it is dependent on. So all that will be built as a part of our software design, right? In the similar way, so when you talk about a data model, right, so it works in the same way. So in the data model also, so in the data model also, like so you need to specify how the tables and the columns, whatever are organized, and how they are dependent each other, right? And how they need to be organized well enough by giving the right dependencies, so that you will have the good amount of performance or good amount of like you keep the any modification, you keep the room for modifications in the future. So all those aspects you need to consider and create a data model. So that is the analogy here we're talking about, right? And moving around to the next, so here we will take just a simple example, right? So in this example, we need to ask questions. So what so here in this example we have taken a example of customer and products, right? Here a customer table, like where you have columns like customer number, name, address, postal code, age, date of birth, and gender, right? And similar in the products, so you have product ID, department ID, product name, profit margin, and category, right? So now whenever a customer purchases any product, right? So like so he has to definitely, it has, the product should be there in the products, right? So that is a basic aspect of it. So after that, using this customer and products, there might be a sales transaction table where the customer and products will be combined, and a transaction will be made. But before that, so like you have this scenario, so we want to keep this data model simple. So this data model has only two tables. One is customer table, other is products table, right? So now, so as you can see, the table, the data is organized in table formats, right? This is how the exactly the organization in the relational database, right? And so in this particular example, the data is divided into two tables, right? And one for the customer and other for is a product. So this is a simple data model, right? And there is nothing technical about this model. So you don't need to be a database expert or a programmer or a to understand or to contribute to the design aspects. So you do not know about any programming language to be a data modeler, basically, right? And what exactly the customer is here, right? So customer might be a person, right? So in this case, we are considering few example like Abhishek, Paul, Nicola, so whatever, right? So customer is a person we are considering, but so the here comes ask questions. As a data modeler, you need to ask questions, and you need to be a good in interrogating the stakeholders to understand what exactly the system is, and so only then like what are the dynamics of the systems is, and only then you can able to build the robust data model. Suppose you can ask a question, okay, like there is a name here, right? And it is a name of a customer. So the customer can be one person, or customer can be a multiple person, because two people can combinedly like buy one product, right? So in that case, it might be the case, right? And also, so there might be a case like where like there might be a different organization when you consider B2B, right? So it might not be a Abhishek who is acting as a customer. It might be like some XYZ organization or XYZ company can be a customer in case of B2B. So there might be no name in that case. So you need to ask questions. So name, what is the definition of name? So name of the customer, is it just a individual, or it can be organization, or it can be a combination of multiple people, right? And also, like if you take the address, so address, so here you see inconsistency in the address, right? So here there is a three slash, there is a door number, right, on the street number, but in the second case there is no door or street number. So in that case, should I make door number or street number mandatory to capture? Because without that, I cannot deliver the product to the customer, right? So that's again a question to ask, right? So that so you make the data model and the whole the business successful. So coming to the postal code, yeah, postal code looks good. So you can have some like standardization check. So if the number of digits are looking good, okay. And also like age. So the question about age is, so do we really need to capture age, because you already have a date of birth, so it will be duplicate column, right? And age can like always mislead, because age is not automatically calculated, right? It is static value. So instead of depending on age, can we use the date of birth to calculate the age, which will be the most robust solution, right? So that will be the case. And suppose if you like customer number, right? So you can ask what is this customer number? So is it a four digit combination of first four digit and the year of birth of a customer? So can it duplicate? Because can there be Abhi and who is another Abhi who is actually having the same date of birth, right? Year of birth. So in that case, this customer number of how we are generating might not be a unique value. So these kind of questions you need to ask to like when you are actually working as a data modeler, and then maybe extend the designs accordingly or tweak the designs accordingly, right? And coming to the products. So products also, like if you see, so you have four products here, and so you have department codes and product name and profit margin. So and the profit margin, if you see, it's zero point 0.1, like maybe zero point 0.1 or 10%, right? So you can consider as a 10%. So and both are the electronics products here, and the margin is 10%. So in this case, should we really, if you need to ask the question like if the category is electronics, is it always the profit margin 10%? If yes, if the answer is yes, so then there is a we are actually duplicating the data here, right? Because the category, if the category is electronics and if the always margin is 10%, you can maintain this in one master table, so like denormalize and keep it in another master table instead of duplicating this profit margin in this particular product column. Because see here we have just taken a sample of the products, right? The products can be hundreds of thousands of products, and like otherwise, like you can imagine, right, the profit margin zero point 0.1 can go on duplicating. So that's the another question to ask, right? And also if you take like name, right? So name, there you can we split it to first name last name, right? So that it can be more readable, or if you want to make any reporting or any such things, right? So it will be more flexible. So these kind of questions, you can ask, and there is no limitation, right? Answering questions of this kind is what data modeling is all about. And in some cases, there is a single and correct approach, and in many of the cases, um, there will be several options. Basically, asking the right questions, right, requires a detailed understanding of the relevant business area. So, so this is a retail business, right? So, if you are working, say, in a management information systems, say, if you are working in a finance, if you are working in a banking, so you need to have that understanding of the business area expertise, as well as a knowledge of the data modeling principles and techniques, right, in that relevant area. And professional data modelers therefore work closely with the business stakeholders and business analysts, including prospective users of the information systems, in which the same way that architect work with the owners or the prospective inhabitants of when you're building any house or the or any building, so that they are designing. So it is exactly the same. Architects need to closely work with the business and understand the business in depth and ask all the relevant questions possible to come up with the best design possible, right? So moving on, so we have design choice and creativity. So what this means is, right? So when you're working as a like data modeler, so this aspect you need to consider and or you should know. So this is an analogy with architecture in particularly appropriate because architects are designers end of the day, right? And data modeling is also a design activity. That means when you're designing anything, right? So consider you are designing a building, right? Or are you designing a product? Or you're designing a machine, right? So it is like we do not expect to find a single correct design or the approach to a single design, right? Although we will certainly able to identify many that are patiently incorrect. So it is just a trial and error. You need to build some model, uh, go back to the business, understand, ask questions, understand whether it is true or false, right? So again, refine the model. So model is not just a simple process of documenting the requirements through it, sometimes portrayed as such, right? Several factors to contribute to possible of there being more than one workable models for most practical solutions. So as a data modeler, it is important to consider those multiple factors, right? That might come into picture. And like say for example, one aspect would be like a person age, right? Person age can be a representation by the date of birth, right? Or it can be a representation by the like you want like maybe just the year, right? Or you might want to store it as just the age, right? Or you want to just store it as a say for example like 0 to 10 as a children, or 0 to 14 as a children, and 14 to 20 as a adult, or like say for example like 30 plus are old. I don't know, like you can consider multiple factors. You can create a category also. So instead of storing as a date of birth, you can store the category of age, right? So it's again depends on different data modelers, right? That is what we call it as a multiple solutions. So there is no one solution. So one architect can think of a different solution and other like than other, right? And secondly, there are design choices. So, like say for example, there is usually more than one way to organize or classify the data into tables and columns. Like in the insurance or the banking domain, so we might, for example, specify separate table for customers, personal customers, or the corporate customers, right? So that's one way of design, design choices. Okay, and sometimes there might be a incomplete requirements. So the incomplete requirements, in the sense the requirements from which we work in practice, are usually incomplete, or at least loose enough to accommodate a variety of data solutions. But then we have the analogy with architecture rather than the client specifying the exact size of the room, right? So which we would give the architect a little choice. The client provides some broad objectives and then evaluates the architect suggestions in terms of how well those suggestions meet the objectives, and in terms of what else they can offer. So then business process alignment. So here in designing an information system or any data model, we have some choices as a part of which system will handle each business requirement. For example, we might decide to write a rule that policy of the like particular we are discussing, right? Like in the previous slide we have discussed, like if the percentage is 0 point, if the category is say electronics and it is always having the margin of 10%, so in that case like should it be classified into a different table, or it is not normalized into a different table, so that we avoid the duplicated data, right? So another option is to leave such rule out of the computerized component of the system altogether and require the user to determine the appropriate value according to some external specified or the manual entry value. So either of the decisions would affect the data model by altering what data needed to include in the database. So that's the and finally, if you think about analysis versus design, right? So it is always you know to understand and analyze the data, right? New information systems deliver value simply by automating the current way of doing things, right? While a data model is often equated with the data analysis, it is more accurately a design activity. Analysis involves describing the current state, while design involves prescribing a solution for it. So data modeling requires creativity and the generation and evaluation of the alternatives. So definitely there is a thin gap between analysis and design, so that need to be carefully understood here. And finally, the creativity and the choice. So creativity is essential in data modeling, as it involves exploring different options and finding innovative solutions to a problem. However, this creativity is grounded in a deep understanding of the client business. So without understanding of the client business or the domain that you are working, so it is you cannot be more creative, because end of the day you are bringing the value to the business. So definitely, like, the more you understand the client's business, the more creative you can be. And also familiarizing with the different modeling techniques and rigorous evaluation of different models, available models, and having rigorous connect with the business with the different modeling approaches or different modeling options, and finally come up with the final solutions. So as part of the introductory video, hope you understood what you can expect from this course. And in the upcoming videos, definitely we will have a deep dive in all of the topics that we were discussing in the first slide, right? So if you go to the first slide, so we were discussing about all of these topics we were introducing, right? So all of these topics will be have a deep dive sessions or deep dive videos in this playlist. So hope this was useful. Thanks for watching.